Welcome to Pilates Elephants. Is it really true that if your classes are full and your clients are getting results, that means you're a good instructor? Is there really no more to it than that? I think yes and no, but mainly yes. Let's think a bit more deeply about it. All right, so full classes, clients getting results, aka clients working hard. These are what I'd call lagging indicators. These are the outcome of the behaviors that you do in the class in order to achieve those things. So the behaviors that you do in the class are what I call the leading indicators. They happen before, they lead the result. And those are things like your cueing, your programming, your corrections, the way you connect with people, all of those skills. They're the mechanical things that you do in order to achieve the lagging indicator: full classes, happy clients, getting results, working hard. And so, are those things important? Can we say, okay, if your class is full and your clients are working hard, that makes you a good instructor? It doesn't matter how you cue or program or connect or any of that. Well, of course it matters how you cue and program, because if you do all of those things badly, you're not going to have a class full of clients who are really strong. So, of course, those things matter. If you stand in the corner facing the wall and mumble the whole class, of course, you're not going to have a full class of happy clients with, really strong bodies. But if you do have a full class of happy clients with strong bodies, well, that means you weren't standing in the corner mumbling the whole time. That means you were doing the things you needed to do. So is there a situation where you could have a full class of strong, flexible, happy clients who bring their friends and still be a bad instructor? I would argue no, not if it's over a long enough period of time. One time you put a bad instructor in front of a great room, sure. You could be a bad instructor in front of a class that was previously full for months with a good instructor, but then pretty soon that class will be empty. So if you teach a class for several months and, overall your numbers at the studio are such that the classes are half full, I would say no. That by definition, empirically, objectively, that makes you a bad instructor. It doesn't make you a bad person, just not a great instructor at this point. Because those lagging indicators, the class being full, the clients being strong, then we have the leading indicators, the way you cue, program, connect, adjust, etc. So just say, which of those is more important? Well, I would say that it's always the lagging indicators are more important. Why are the lagging indicators more important? Well, because that's the result. That's the result we want. Like as a studio owner, do you want an empty class of unhappy clients who aren't getting stronger? No, you want a full class of happy clients who are getting stronger and telling everybody about their life-changing benefits they've experienced from the class. And presumably that's what you want as an instructor as well. So if that's the result, that's the outcome, well, and you're doing things that you think are the right things, i.e. you're doing you're cueing according to the way you've been taught, you're programming, you're doing all of the things, and you're not getting the result. Well, that says, that if you're not getting the result you want, it means the things that you're doing are not the right things. If you have a recipe to bake a cake and you follow the recipe exactly, and the cake comes out tasting like shit, well, is the recipe right? No, the recipe's wrong. If you follow the recipe exactly and the cake doesn't work out, the recipe's wrong. If you follow your, quote, teaching skills correctly, precisely, and your class is empty and your clients aren't getting stronger, well, your list of teaching skills is either incomplete or incorrect. And so if you think you're doing the right things, but you're not getting the result you want, well, you're not doing the right things. And so therefore, when we compare the lagging indicators and the leading indicators, class full versus cueing, programming, etc., well, if the class is half empty, it always trumps. It always trumps the skills. Like the lagging indicators are more important because that's the result we're going for. We want the cake to come out of the oven looking, smelling, and tasting delicious. And if it doesn't, then the whole thing was for nothing. That's the whole point. Now, there's a fundamental philosophical divide here, and I believe that there are people in the Pilates world who see it the opposite way, that the leading indicators are what make you a good instructor, that, cueing a certain way, programming a certain way, correcting a certain way, progressing people a certain way, that's what makes you a good instructor. And if clients can't appreciate that and your classes are half empty, well, that doesn't mean you're not a good instructor. You can be a good instructor and have half empty classes. And I'm entirely sympathetic to the idea that you as an instructor are not for everyone. I'm not for everyone. You're not for everyone. I don't think you should be for everyone. You should piss some people off. Now, you shouldn't go out of your way to antagonize people, but just by standing up for something, you should, there will be people who disagree with you. And if no one disagrees with you, that means you don't stand for anything. And so when you stand for something, people who also stand for that thing will be attracted to you. And when your classes have a particular style, approach, flavor, level of intensity, you will attract people who want that thing. However, if you don't have people coming to your class, it's not just that you pissed off a couple of people, but your classes are full. Rather that your classes are half empty because no one appreciates your, quote, great art, I think that's just essentially masturbation. Like the musician who makes music just for themselves and doesn't care if anyone likes it. Well, that's fine if you do it at home. Great, noodle around all you want on your instrument at home. But if you give a performance in public and charge money for it, you're giving a performance. It's for the people. It's not for you as the musician. So if the people don't like it, it's not good. It's not fulfilling its purpose. It's for the people. And if the people don't like it, well, it's not fulfilling its purpose. In the same way, that's exactly the way I see Pilates. If you think Pilates is a certain thing, a certain way of cueing, and if your classes are half empty, well, that's great. I mean, if you just do that with your friends and the small handful of people who agree with you on that and for yourself, and that's all you want, fantastic. All more power to you. But if you're at the same time thinking, oh, it's not fair, why aren't I making any money? My classes are half empty. Those people whose classes are full, they've all sold out. They're not doing real Pilates. Well, you're entirely missing the point in that case. I think those people entirely miss the point because if no one's coming to the classes, it really is missing the point of being for the people that come to the classes. That's what it's for. It's not for you as the teacher. And so if you think it's great and the clients don't think it's great, like the clients are right. The clients are always right. All right. So I think, that's pretty much all I wanted to say on this topic. Actually, no, there is one more thing. My position here, actually, the reason I wanted to record this episode was that I recorded a little reel on Instagram the other day, giving my takeaways from the most recent American College of Sports Medicine position stand on resistance training. And they said essentially that for the vast majority of people, the vast majority of benefits and health benefits and strength benefits of resistance training come from going from doing nothing to doing a little bit. And because of that, any form of resistance training works equally well, whether it's body weight, bands, free weights, machines, whatever it might be. And the vast majority of the benefits for the vast majority of people from resistance training are not going to come from optimizing our perfect program, cue, exercise choice. They're going to come from getting people to get started and getting them to exert a relatively high level of effort and then getting them to stick with it and keep doing it. And so getting started, working hard and sticking with it, that is what is, according to the ACSM, going to result in the greatest benefit to the greatest number of people in terms of health and strength. And so if we want to benefit the largest number of people as much as possible, we need to focus as Pilates instructors on making Pilates fun so that people stick around, and also making it effective so that they actually work hard and get some health benefits. Now, effective just literally means they exert a relatively high level of effort for each major muscle group at some point in the session, right? Doesn't mean perfect programming, perfect cueing, perfect progressions, any of that. Those things are all the cherry on top. But here's the thing. If we get obsessed with the cherry and forget the actual main point of the whole exercise, which is to get people in and get them working hard and keep them there, then we're missing the entire point. It's the tail wagging the dog. It's the cart before the horse. So, dear listener, I think that concludes everything I want to say on this topic for now. And I have convinced myself, and hopefully I've convinced at least a few of you, that if your classes are relatively full and if your clients are working hard and they keep coming back, then you are a good instructor. Now, sure, there are dud time slots in the week and there are new classes on the schedule and stuff, and that might take a bit of time to build up. But over a long enough time horizon, if your classes are full and your clients are working hard, you're a good instructor. And to the extent that that's not true, Well, there's an opportunity for you to improve. And when you look at how can I improve, then we look at those leading indicators. We look at the way you cue, the way you program, the way you connect, the way you adjust, all of those things. But they should be how effective you are at those things should be measured by how full your classes are and the results that your clients obtain. All right. Much love, and I'll see you in the next one.